Last video for Obama is not really about Obama at all, but there's some random subjects they want us to cover, and it's dealing with technology and medicine. So I'm just going to kind of read out the book for this, just so you can kind of get what they want you to be aware of. First, with computer technology. In the decades since World War II, there have been remarkable advances in technology. Arguably nothing has transformed the world as much as computer technology. The routines of business, education, and even how people spend their leisure time have been all greatly changed by computers since World War II, and since the personal computer came out in the late 70s, early 80s. So personal computers have revolutionized our lives and so forth. The internet, a computer network linking millions of people, businesses, libraries, and so forth, has served to unite people on opposite ends of the globe as easily as those on opposite sides of a room. So internet brings us together as a world in tremendous ways. It allows data research and limitless amounts of information to be sent within seconds to almost anywhere in the world. From 83 to 95, the number of people in the United States having computers in their homes jumped from less than 10% to almost 40%, and that's got to be even higher now. I mean, it's got to be over 50% for certain by now. In 2011, home computers are as common as TVs and telephones, so it's like the TV of, back in the 50s. That's what computers are now for us. And you got to factor in phones now too. People just use phones for computers type stuff now too. And of course, the two big competitors in that are Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, who helped make Microsoft and Apple, developing that over time. So cell phones are very important too, because they're now they have so much computing power now as well. They help connect us as well too. Which all this leads to a big issue, which is called the digital divide. And I don't just mean that for age groups. I don't mean like your parents don't use technology as well as you do. I mean like the world. Like, it influences how America develops. It influences how the world develops. Because now so many jobs, education programs, and so on require a laptop, require a computer. And if you don't have these things, it makes life very difficult. So, think about how lucky you are if you have a computer or a laptop or phone or tablet, whatever the case is, and you can make these types of you can look up assignments and so forth, but it makes you a better student when you have internet access. So there's the digital divide that some people feel like it's America's or the government's responsibility to fix or help accommodate for people, because some people feel like the internet should be provided for everyone, regardless of your economic capabilities, because it's becoming such a necessary thing, just like the phone once was, and such like the TV is. So that's a big issue nowadays, how it affects us developing economically, socially, physically, psychologically, so on. Social media has been big in the past 10, 15 years, since Facebook, MySpace, all that came out in the mid-2000s. It's helped reshape elections, people's candidacies. Now politicians and the government and businesses reach out to people through social media, through Instagram, Twitter, MySpace, or not MySpace, but Facebook, and those kind of things. So it reaches us in a lot of big ways. And of course, the first election that had a big impact by social media was Obama's in 2008, and of course the 2012 and now the 2016 one as well too. YouTube, all that has big impacts on how we see things, and now Vines and all these different things that you have now. AIDS research. Scientists first recognized acquired immune deficiency syndrome, or AIDS, in late 1981. AIDS is a collection of infections and symptoms caused by damage to the immune system. This damage results from the presence of the human immunodeficiency virus, HIV, in the blood stream. HIV is transmitted through direct contact between a membrane or a person's bloodstream and bodily fluids of someone who also has HIV. Once someone contracts HIV, it takes roughly 9 to 10 years for AIDS to develop unless sophisticated drugs are used to slow the process. Since there is no cure, victims of AIDS eventually die from the disease. There's still no cure for AIDS, and it still plagues us even now. And that was a big, big issue in the 80s. People didn't understand the AIDS and how AIDS worked, and people were kind of scared about homosexuals, but we find out in the 80s and 90s, not just homosexuals, people can get it through using drugs or having unprotected sex, and that also led to a decrease in unprotected sex as well. But homosexuals suffer greatly because they were targeted a lot because of the AIDS problem back in the 80s, but now a lot of that's kind of died off. So a lot more safe sex promoted then. The role of government became controversial. because government advocated abstinence to stop the spread of disease. Others believe the government should avoid making moral judgments about sexual behavior, so on and so forth. Okay, cancer research. After heart disease, cancer is the most common cause of death in the United States each year. So after heart disease, cancer is number 2 as far as death in America. It's an abnormal growth of cells that, if not treated soon enough, will continue to spread, eventually resulting in death. President Nixon in 1971 declared war on cancer. Since then, the U.S. government and private organizations have combined to spend over $200 billion on cancer research. Modern medical professionals have been able to battle and treat cancer better than ever before, resulting in highest survival rates in history. And the last thing is genetic stem cell research. This has been commonplace in the past 20, 30 years, more research in stem cells, which comes most times from embryonic stem cells, which means it comes from fetuses that get aborted. And some people feel like it's okay to do this because it can help maybe treat things like Parkinson's disease. But other people feel like if you're getting it from aborted fetuses, it's like you're murdering or could be killing people to get these cells, and it's morally wrong. So there's a moral divide between conservatives and liberals whether or not stem cell research is even allowable because of your ethics. But that's also a concern nowadays too. So that's it. That's the last of this. But you might see, and there was a question about cancer last year on the test. So I'm not making this up, but there might be a random question concerning some of these other technical or medical issues on the EOC. So that's it. That's it. All of the information.